Whenever it comes to opera, the biggest challenge is in the end putting everything together. And in this case, I think the biggest challenge is going to be the new situation for the orchestra to play in a pit, because you hear differently when you sit in a pit. It's good that the first here in Cleveland hear the singers really well, so they know the piece inside out. And when we go into the pit in Salzburg, at least they have an idea what it sounds like. And they will hear it over there very differently, because there's a stage set, the singers are further away, the pit is lower, and, they won't hear the singers as well. So, in other words, the ears of the musicians have to be much bigger, and the sort of senses they need, they sometimes don't really hear it, but they have to sense what the singers are going to do. Because the art of playing an opera for an orchestra is actually breathing with the singers. That's the big art for an orchestra. When you have an orchestra, and especially this orchestra is used to play on the beat, singers cannot do that because the voice works differently. So, you have these tiny little delays sometimes because of how a voice works. Very simple. You're not breathing like, switching the button and switching off the button. Nobody would survive that. And the voice needs that swinging in phase of breathing in and producing naturally a beautiful sound. You cannot do that sort of edgy. That doesn't work. And that swinging in phase, first of all, of a voice, this orchestra, doesn't do day in, day out. Secondly, again, the distances bring also delays. So you have to compensate for these delays. Of course, the Cleveland Orchestra is, what I always say, the biggest existing chamber music group, because they are so trained for decades to listen to each other. But again, also as a conductor, when you can see it over and over again with conductors who are mainly or only in the symphonic repertoire, when they go into the pit for the first time, it's very difficult for them, because you have to live for a long time with these distances and also what I said about the voices. Not every voice at every moment works the same way. Every individual is different. And also, like, Camilla Nieland might be in one performance a little bit under the weather, then the voice works differently. And especially how it gets into a phrase, a voice, how it starts a phrase, can be, if a singer is not completely well, can be very, very different. And you need a lot of experience to be able to help there and compensate for that. And, I've conducted more than 500 opera performances so far in my life, 55 different pieces, different operas. You learn a lot by that. And an orchestra has to do the same thing, and it's not coming overnight.